Again, in the streets of Egypt today, demanding change, democracy, and end to corruption. A new day for Egypt, and perhaps, by extent, the entire Arab world. This morning, word in Jordan, the king is shaking up his government after protests, and in Syria, also a police state. A call on Facebook and Twitter for a day of rage later this week. We've got a panel once again in studio on this story. Mamdouh Ismail is president of the Egyptian community in Canada, and Daryl Hellier is a Canadian tourist just back from Egypt, arrived. He was there for about 48 hours and managed to get out of the country. I want to start with you, Daryl. As a Canadian who was just there, what's the number one thing that stood out in your mind? You saw it, you sent us pictures that we're going to show of your experience in Cairo.
It has to be the moment I arrived and trying to get to my hotel and going through the streets of Cairo. Having a driver, I managed to find a driver to take me through the streets, to get me to the hotel. And what I saw was burning tires rolling down the highway, cars overturned.
This gas station as well.
This gas station. These are the pictures I took. It was just amazing to see the people in the streets. I was in a taxi with more people in the back seat, and the local people trying to get into the taxi. They just want to ride. They just needed to get somewhere. And at that time, I didn't know that we were under a curfew. I had just arrived, so I didn't know there was a curfew. And to see those kind of images really sticks in my mind. And that evening, trying to sleep, to hear the gunshots in the background and the odd explosion once in a while, that's not something that we're used to hearing.
No, and you obviously managed to get out safe and sound. You're back in Montreal. Mr. Ismail, are you surprised as an Egyptian and a representative of the community in Canada with close ties to that country at the sheer size of this protest and also the sheer rapid pace that it's unfolded?
In fact, if I compare it historically to almost 6,000 years ago, we had Hatshepsut, the pharaoh. We had a revolution, but as a riot like this one. But for what? It is to get a gum, because the population were very wealthy, and the chips, they were waiting for it, and it didn't come. It came late. Then they made a riot, big one, and it's called the Hatshepsut Revolution. That's historically. When I see today, despite how big it is similar to that. Why? Because the people, they went into riots for three reasons. The elections that it has passed, it was a fake election. Yes, that is what it really triggered. They had hope for it to participate politically, and they found that their vote didn't count. Then it aggravated the situation, because they already had other 2 points. They wanted elections to be fair. It is economy. Most of the educated people, they do not have jobs. Most of the wealthy people, they got very wealthy, and the poor, they got very poor. That it was the ingredient to get this rights. This right, if I look at it, I will say, well, it can be contained, but if people, they have the insurance, and now I'm very happy for the international community to do it well, in order that we do not have a vacuum, because vacuum, it will create a great danger for the Egyptian people, and it will be worse than Iraq.
Right.
It will be bloody one.
You were talking about leading to possible radicalization. Daryl, when you were on the ground, what were you hearing from just average people, everyday people that you were talking to?
To be honest with you, it was just normal days for those people, for the local people. They were the ones at the hotel that we talked to. They were more concerned about our safety than anything else. They were wonderful people, and
was there any anti-Western sentiment though in the streets? Because one of the things that I've heard is this anger at the international community, in particular the United States, for propping up a police state for so many years. Was there any anger at you or what you might represent?
No, none at all. And I'm actually quite surprised when I started seeing this on the news when I returned. I was very proudly wearing everything was Canadian on me, and one evening, all of the employees outside that were protecting the hotel, I went out and actually shook everyone's hand and gave them a small little token of Canada, either a flag or a keychain or something like that. And they were so extremely pleased and appreciative of getting that. I never heard anything against any
the Western
Not at all.
Mr. Ismail, when you look at some of these shots of President Hosni Mubarak promising to change his cabinet, switching his top officials, there's almost this farcical air about it. Because, you know, we're in this age of Twitter and Facebook and people's revolutions, and you have this guy on television, you know, accepting new credentials. It seems something like Alice in Wonderland, really.
In fact, he's a well-disciplined military man, and he's very good. He understood that he has to go. No matter of fact, he will go. But he understands too that he has a responsibility to keep Egypt safe from that vacuum that it can suck it into the unknown world. By doing that, he is not putting it as a show in order to govern. No, he understood that his card is finished. Then what he's trying to do at the last minute, because he's well-disciplined soldier, he is trying to create a good transitional government with very strong men that he has put. By doing that, he will ensure stability and durability for the international treaties that he has worldwide, and especially to ensure the peace that it has been signed with Israel, which it is for the prosperity of Egypt and Israel, it has to be maintained. Then doing that and knowing that, absolutely he is right. And yes, and the American, I think they are helping in that, and the Canadian, and the international community, I have to congratulate them, because they have taken care of that, and they learned it from other mistakes before. And so far, the Egyptian people, we have to know, they are by nature, they don't like blood. And that is why they are just demanding that, and they want to make sure. I'm sure in the very next days or so, you will hear more things that the people they will understand, and other people they say Baradei and others. I don't think any of those people they will be in the political arena later on, because the transitional government, it is going really to allow a real democracy, and the American
to flourish
and the other exactly.
I want to thank both of you for coming in today. I appreciate you sharing your political perspective and your personal perspective being over in Egypt. And we'll definitely be monitoring this.
After that, I would invite him to Egypt, and
there we go. For a different kind of vacation.